Okay, so to install the steering linkage, what we want to do first is make sure that the rack is centered so that we don't have to come back later and re-index all of the steering shafts, which we might have to change a slight bit after we do the alignment. But 9 times out of 10, if you center the rack, make sure all of the steering linkage is indexed like we did before when we first set it up. You should be able to have the steering wheel centered. So what we want to check first is take a measurement here from this block right here on the steering rack out to the end of this block here where the shaft will move left to right as you turn the steering wheel. So from that spot, so from again here to here, on each side you should end up with about 2 1/4 inches. And that will tell you that the rack is centered. Once you confirm that you have 2 1/4 inches there, you can then take the upper steering shaft, slide that through the hole in the footwell and the foot tub. You may have to open it up a little bit with a grinder or a drum roll sander or the air saw to get the U-joint through. Then once you do set that through, then you'll come in the steering rack. The steering rack which is here. This will work better with 2 people if one person holds it in place while the other person sets the bolts in. And what you'll do is here, and here you'll use 3/8 carriage bolts, and then in this hole here it'll be a 1/2 inch carriage bolt. Where that will go is to this bracket here. So again, what you'll do is in the rear 2 holes, 3/8 carriage bolts. In the front left, front lower, that'll be the 3/8 carriage bolt, and then the inside lower right is the 1/2 inch drive carriage bolt. So you'll bolt that into position, leave it a little bit loose so that you can make any adjustments you might need to make sure the column is straight, and then also so that the telescoping shaft will line up in position. You can see there's a hole in the top portion of the shaft right here. That's where the bolt will go through. We'll go back over to the steering rack here. This bolt here, it's a Ford bolt, it has the Loctite on it. We'll go through that shaft, and what you want to do is you want to make sure that that shaft lines up with the groove already in the steering column. So the bolt will pass through there and be locked in position once you get it all lined up, when you get the shaft lined up. Now if you've got the steering shafts lined up, the rack is centered at the front. Once you slide the upper telescoping portion onto the steering column, what you should have is the flat on the steering shaft should be at the top. You see it's got a flat on the top and the bottom, so it should be a flat on the top, a flat on the bottom, and then when you go to put the steering wheel on later on, the steering wheel should be just about centered. So after you've done that, what you'll want to check is right through here. Once you're sure that all your shafts are lined up and U-joints are all phased correctly, you'll see that right here, if I was to hold it at this angle, I would hit the fiberglass. So what you'll do is once you get the whole linkage all the way together, all the way up from the rack to the steering column, just check to make sure that you're not rubbing this hole in the front of the footwell. So if you are, what you'll have to do is just pop the shaft back off of the control valve. So again, leave all your joints loose. You'll pop this through, open up your holes a little bit to the needed amount, probably about an 1/8 inch of clearance around the whole steering shaft, and then you can close that off with the 2 pieces, which I'll have to grab here real quick. So these pieces right here, you can see there's a flat on one side. That will go and line up with the radius. See if it was to go over the hole there, there's a radius right there. The flat will go towards the inside. You'll have the piece of sheet rubber, which should have already been cut by the sub-assembly team. That will get sandwiched to the front side of the firewall, and then the same part that we used already will go on the back. You'll line up the holes and then rivet it to the firewall, and then that will seal off the opening for the steering shaft.